Hello, I'm Sachiko Inoue, a Shiho-shoshi lawyer in Kobe, Japan. Shiho-shoshi lawyer handles inheritance matters. On this video, I would like to talk about the overview of inheritance taxes in Japan. People from other countries seem to have the impression that Japanese inheritance taxes are high. If you have assets either in Japan or abroad, you are probably worrying about things such as whether your estate will be subject to Japanese inheritance taxes upon your death. Despite you being a foreign national, whether assets in Japan are subject to Japanese inheritance taxes even if you do not live in Japan, and whether assets outside Japan are subject to Japanese inheritance taxes. In Japan, whether inheritance taxes are required depends on the number of legal heirs and the value of the inherited property. There is a basic exemption of 30 million yen, equivalent to about 290,000 US dollars, plus 6 million yen, equivalent to about 58,000 US dollars multiplied by the number of legal heirs. Any amount that exceeds the total amount based on the formula in the preceding sentence is subject to inheritance taxes in Japan. For example, if there are 3 legal heirs, the amount of the basic exemption would be 48 million yen. If the value of the inherited property exceeds 48 million yen, inheritance taxes would be imposed on any amount over that 48 million yen basic exemption. The inheritance tax is progressive, ranging from 10% to 55% depending on the value of the asset. Since the calculation of inheritance taxes is complicated, I will not go into details anymore today. To determine whether the inheritance tax is imposed only on property in Japan or all assets worldwide is totally depends on the residence of the decedent and the legal heirs. Let's look at the table. The orange part of the table indicates when assets outside Japan are taxed as well as those in Japan, while the blue part indicates when only assets in Japan are taxed. Address refers to whether or not you have the place of the residence, not necessarily whether or not you have a residence certificate. A temporary resident is a person who has the status of residence and has resided in Japan for less than 10 years within the past 15 years. As you can see from the table, nationality has nothing to do with whether or not Japanese inheritance taxes are imposed. Rather, whether inheritance taxes will be imposed only on assets in Japan or also on assets outside Japan depends on whether or not the heirs or the decedent's residency is in Japan or has been within the past 10 years. For example, if the decedent's address is in Japan and the heirs also have an address in Japan, the top left of the table will apply, and all of the decedent's assets, including those outside of Japan, will be subject to inheritance taxes. Since inheritance taxes in Japan are high, it is very important for those with assets in Japan and abroad to take appropriate measures for inheritance before death. Kobe Legal Partners will be happy to advise you about inheritance planning in cooperation with the Tax Accountant's Office with expertise in international asset taxation.